started to cry. And I cried 6 hours. I could not stop crying. That experience 30 years ago had such an impact on my life that I left the job I was doing and I said, right, I need to become a pastor. And in the Ashton Gate Stadium, there was a service going on, and there was a preacher called Billy Graham, and he'd been friends with Nixon, Queen Elizabeth II. All of the days ordained for me were written in your book before even one of them came to be.
Hello guys, welcome back to Beyond the Horizon podcast, where we where you expand your views on life. With me today, very important, not only important but incredible guest.
Thank you very much. I'm very flattered.
Mark Detzler.
Detzler. My name is German.
Yeah.
And there's a whole story behind it.
Well, Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
So, my name is Mark, and I was born in Germany in 1963, and my parents were living there from 1963 to 1970. Mm-hmm. Then in 1970, we came to the UK, and my father got a job in academia, and we lived in Bournemouth in the South Coast for 8 years, and then came to Bristol when I was 16. And it was here that I met the ladies, now my wife, and I did my A-levels and my university undergraduate work here. And then in 1984, basically a stone's throw from this spot, something happened that was so dramatic that it changed the total direction of my life. And that was in May 1984, May the 16th. And a month later, I got married, and our life started heading off in this completely new direction. And we went to Italy from 89 to 99 and lived there in Rome and Milan and Florence. And then we came back in 1999. And since then, I've been working in two careers. I've had two careers next to each other. One is teaching English to young people from abroad. A lot of the famous boat people. So a lot of boys from Afghanistan and other places like that. And I did that until a couple of years ago. And at the same time, I was working with churches to help the churches reach out to people who don't have a Christian background and who would not regard themselves as being Christian. And as part of that, in 2010, we started meeting with a small group of people in a pub on King Street here in the city center. Mm-hmm. And that group went to an office space, and then we settled in what was now Broadmead Baptist Church. What was Broadmead Baptist Church, but we weren't Broadmead Baptist Church. We were a group of people meeting upstairs. And so, and through COVID and through a variety of situations, we became Broadmead Baptist Church, and they invited us to take over the building and to do the things we're doing now. And so if you say to me, where are you from? I don't really know. Because
yeah, it's a difficult answer.
Yeah, my passport says America. My birth certificate says Germany. My marriage certificate says UK, but my heart says Italy. My heart says Italy, because that was a very formative time for us, and our experiences of living in Italy were dramatic in changing how we viewed the world and how we responded to the world.
Okay.
And 3 children, all married, and the oldest is 36, and the youngest is 31.
Fair enough. You seem very happy with your life currently.
Yeah, happiness is a funny thing, isn't it? Because happiness can kind of come and go. And I think that happiness is at least in my mind, associated with an emotional state. What I have, a famous author called C.S. Lewis became a Christian in the 1930s, and he said he was dragged into Christianity, screaming and struggling, the most reluctant convert the world has ever seen. because he was an intellectual, and he struggled with the person of Jesus. And yet he wrote a book about it, and he said, I was surprised by joy. And joy is an experience similar to happiness, but it is a form of contentment, well-being, confidence, peace of heart and mind, regardless of the situation you're in bad times and in good times, to have this constant sense of well-being that is fed by a source which is way beyond us, and a source which is intelligible to people who have not entered in. So if you're saying, are you happy? Well, depends how I feel. But if you're saying, are you joyful? I would say, yeah, I feel pretty joyful. I feel pretty joyful.
Okay, fair enough. So, Mark, just a really quick one. Would you like to light our particular candle?
Yeah. My problem is I haven't been a smoker for a number of years, so I'm going to have to work on this one here. Oh, I got it.
There we go.
Is this an Advent candle?
No, it's not.
What does it signify?
Sorry?
What does it signify?
It's a sense of unity. I was a scout for about 15 years.
Wow.
Maybe a bit more, but I don't know. But about 15 years, 14, 15 years. And the fire is a key element. Signifies a point of union. And when nature is like steps aside and lets the unity of humanity.
Wow, cool. For me, fire is always often about purification and cleansing.
Oh my God! I actually saw a verse of the Bible that says God purifies us just as it does with silver, just like we do with silver. Refinement.
Yeah, refining that silver.
And then when I saw a video how the refinement of silver actually goes, I was amazed by that phrase, mainly because you have to put the silver in the middle of the fire, not in the edge,
right,
but right in the middle, and you purify it until you see yourself.
Is it in a bowl or like a crucible or something?
Yeah.
It's the Bible actually says that our God is a refining fire, a consuming fire. Our God is a consuming fire. It describes God in those terms. And of course, with the sacrificial system of the Old Testament, fire had a big part to play there too, because they'd be consuming the animals or whatever with fire.
Well, I'm actually starting to read the Old Testament. I'm still in Genesis. Don't. So it's a thick book to go.
You got to remember that the Old Testament is part narrative, part poetry, part wisdom, but it's also a legal document. So it's
a little bit complex. Yeah, it's.
you hit Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. You got to take that like a chapter a day just
like you would read
because it is we have this problem at church where we say to people, let's read the Bible in a year, because Genesis is fine because it's all narrative.
Genesis is all right. But I've seen bits of Leviticus.
Yeah, then you get into Leviticus and you get into all those other things, and people then start to panic a little bit. You have to say, well, just read a chapter from the New Testament and just kind of trade it off. Yeah, just keep going.
So you are a pastor.
Yeah.
That's how has it been? Can you tell us a little bit more about your testimony?
Right. Well, a pastor is different to a priest. So that's an important principle. A priest is a mediator between God and man, if you think about it. At least in my experience of Catholicism, the people would pray not necessarily to God or even to Jesus, but they would pray to other mediators who would hope present their case to God. Whereas a pastor, the word is from a shepherd. What's the Spanish word for shepherd?
Um, pastor.
Pastor.
It would be the same thing.
There you go. In Italian, it's pastore. Yeah, I know.
I
I
had
know.
to
It
think
goes.
about it.
It goes. It goes. I know. So yeah. So
It's my mother tongue as well.
I
It's
know,
awful.
but when someone snatches you like that into and
Into
catches you
the
off
language.
guard,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah, pastore is a pastor is a shepherd, and the idea is that what they call it the we are the priesthood of all believers. So when people come into a relationship with Jesus,
Mhm.
they become priests themselves and a nation of priests. And so a pastor's role is not to be mediating between people and God, but to bless, encourage, guide, lead, teach those who themselves are on their own entering into the presence of God.
That description I really love. It's a very interesting description because I never asked it
Yeah.
before.
So the idea of priest is a current one, and it
Mhm.
works, but it's not a special group of people that are chosen by other people. A priest is somebody who's chosen by God to serve Him and to lay down their life as a sacrifice to Him day in, day out.
Mm. Well, the person who introduced me to Christianity, again, let's call it, said to me that somebody from a priest, well, he's Christian, so a priest said that we should pray once a day, all day long.
Yeah, that is good. Prayer is something that I enjoy first thing in the morning. So I tend to, when I wake up, start praying then. But prayer is certainly something we should be doing all day long
Yeah.
because it's just a conversation, isn't it, with God?
I have tried to do that because he's Opus Dei, so he's
Yeah.
from that branch. It's a Spanish branch of Christianity, which also say that an hour worked is an hour prayed. Mainly because if you give it to God, then it is technically a
It's an
prayer.
offering.
It's an offering, yeah. So I've been trying to go through that route, and it's very interesting, for sure.
I've found that
one day prayer.
the Psalms are helpful because in the Psalms, God is speaking to the Psalms basically cover every single emotion, every single situation that a person could ever go through. And in the Psalms, God is speaking. And what I often find helpful is to look at one of the verses in the Psalms and then respond back to Him. So, for instance, Psalm 139 says, "All of the days ordained for me were written in your book before even one of them came to be."
Sorry, could you say that again?
All of the days ordained for me were written in your book before even one of them came to be. But what that means is that God planned.
Yeah, I was about to ask for the meaning.
God ordained, God planned every day of my life. And so what I sometimes do is I'll say that verse in my head, and then I'll pray and I'll say, Lord, okay, so you planned out this day, and what I want to ask you to do is to inhabit this day, and what I want to ask you to do is to guide me and give me the right words to say and give me the right attitude to have with people. Help me to be to see your Holy Spirit at work in this day. And so what I would do is I'll try to get a verse and then interact. So I'll assume, well, God has spoken now. He said this. So now I'm going to respond.
Oh.
And then I'm going to listen. Say, well, so what has He got to say now?
I feel that's the way I read, at least.
Yeah.
A book that I reread constantly is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
And every time I read a verse, I try to
engage with it.
Yeah, engage with it, as if that verse would have a personality.
Yeah.
And then you go.
That is it's an interesting thing.
Very difficult to do as well.
Yeah, but it's interesting to use the word personality because the Bible also says that the word of God is living and active. It's sharper than a double-edged sword. divides soul and spirit, joints and marrow, and it judges the thoughts and the attitudes of the heart. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight, but everything's uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. And he says the Bible is like a sword, and it goes deep into who you are. And it divides your emotions, it divides your motivations, it divides your thoughts, and it reveals light on all of those stages. If you think about it, people function on like a triangle on 3 levels. Okay. So the first level is what we say and what we do. Mm-hmm. It's conscious. People can observe it. People can describe it. It interacts socially with other people. Mm-hmm. That's the most public level that we operate on. The next level is our thoughts and our emotions. No, the next level is our ideology, our philosophy, the way we see the world. Are you a socialist? Are you a capitalist? Are you Muslim? Are you Christian? And it's that second level is the way we interpret the world. Mm-hmm. But then the third level is what they call the world of the spirits. And in the world of the spirits, I don't even know who I am. I don't even understand what's going on. World of the spirits is manifesting itself when we get involved in addictions. The world of the spirits is playing with us all night long in our dreams. The world of the spirits is drawing on negative experiences as a child or positive experiences as a child and are influencing today because of those situations. And what the Bible does is that the Bible divides, just kind of comes down, and it reveals what's going on in our words and our actions. Mm-hmm. It reveals what's going on in our thoughts and our ideology, mm-hmm. but it reveals what's going on in the world of the spirits, who we are, in the basic fundamental place for that.
Okay, that is a very interesting concept. I've never thought about it. I would say that the closest I could have gotten maybe is Nietzsche's ideology of consciousness. Mm-hmm. So you got fully conscious, then subconscious, and then unconscious. Yeah, the unconscious.
Yeah. Also, Freud has the similar thing. Yes,
I think
the ego, the id, the ego, yeah. And the superego is kind of the
teacher and apprentice. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very interesting way of looking at the world.
So my point is that when you're reading the Bible and you're praying, mm-hmm. you are operating with absolute truth, which is illuminating and interacting with who we are on all of those levels. So when I'm praying, I'm thinking about my behaviors, and God the Spirit is illuminating my behavior. When I'm praying, I'm thinking about my attitudes and the way that I respond to people, and maybe the bigotry I might have, or the anger that I might manifest, or the love that I have for people. And then also, it's also going deep, deep down. And it's saying, who are you in the very fundamental base of life? Who are you really? Mm. What's really motivating you and guiding you? And it's revealing to me who I am. And it's saying to me, you don't have to be this way. You don't have to be a slave of what happened in the past. You don't have to be distraught. You don't have to be afraid, because I'm here too. And he is at the very basis of our being.
This reminds me to I don't know what to what Greeks used to say about character is fate. Uh-huh. So the inner bit of yourself that is not even subconscious or whatever, that actually decides what is going to happen with you, to you, and so on. Mm-hmm. I think tying it back to addiction and so on, because you did mention it.
Yeah, so it's a psyche, isn't it? I mean, the Greek idea of psyche, I don't know, was picked up on by Freud as well. I don't know to what extent it moves in that area, but I think it does goes some way to help us understand that area.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, I'm trying to. So for the viewers, because I know many of the viewers currently.
Hi.
Hello. Many of them don't understand Christianity, but do understand these other concepts surrounding the idea. So what I'm trying to do is also to myself to know if I'm actually correct or not, is try to maybe put like a synonym, so to speak.
Right. So Christianity as a word, I don't think is ideal in this conversation,
Okay.
because Christianity is a term for a religion,
Okay.
in the same way that Islam is a term for a religion.
Because you did say that in the yeah.
So Christianity,
Triangle concept.
yeah. So Christianity and Islam, Judaism is slightly different because Judaism is linked to being a Jewish person, but certainly Islam and Christianity have religious structures. So they have places of worship, they have leaders, they have holy books, they have practices, they've got a worldview. Both Christianity and Islam have the worldview that we want to take over, basically. It is what it is.
You said it.
I said it. That God willing, we don't want to take over with arms. We want to take over by winning hearts and minds. But I heard a quote just off the other side. I heard a quote the other day. Someone said, "What's the best way to change the world? Is it through revolution, or is it through slow change?" And the philosopher said neither. The best way to change people is by offering them a vision of glory, a vision, a new vision, a new way of looking at the world. Anyway, that takes us back. So I would not want to introduce necessarily the word Christian here, because when you use the word Christian, then many people might think, okay, oh, I see, religion. I went to mass. I went to church as a kid, and they have this thing,
which I find is completely different in the Baptist church that we go to.
hopefully
is completely different, because it's more about understanding the Bible. Is nothing about like
controlling people's lives.
It's more than controlling people's lives. That comes and goes, I would say. That has to do with group settings and so on. I feel it's a little bit different.
Okay.
But it has to do more with not having rituals.
Yeah.
Which I find very interesting, because I never went to a church without particular rituals.
Yeah.
We do the
communion, the mass.
Communion, once a month.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And it's a meal. It's kind of, we're having a meal together. It's
I love that.
Actually, not everybody at our church even likes to have the Lord's Prayer every week. Not everybody thinks that that's necessary or necessarily desirable.
Okay.
So that's about the only ritual we really have, is to have the Lord's
Prayer. Now that I think about it.
And I like it because it gives everybody a chance to pray. So rather than the word Christian, I would want to propose the idea of the way. When Jesus returned to heaven and he said, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel," the people that he sent out, his disciples, were called the followers of the way. And so and that, I think, is a more precise notion for what we want to talk about here.
Okay.
I'm not particularly interested in talking about religious structures. But the followers of the way, the way is not, it's a form of discipleship. It's a form of way of living, but it's more than that, because Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me." And so a follower of the way is somebody who is walking with Jesus, and he's walking close to Jesus, and he's following Jesus. He's a disciple of Jesus.
Okay, so take me through, or describe me this so-called way.
Okay, so
Or you describe it, well,
So someone who is not a follower of the way is somebody who is not responding to Jesus as Lord and is not loving him and is not knowing him or seeking him. The Bible actually says that those people are spiritually dead. That, okay, let's go back to the Garden of Eden.
let's go back.
Let's go back.
I've read that. I've read that.
You read that one. So,
Yeah.
so the philosophy, the understanding in Judaism and Christianity is that people are body, soul, and spirit. And the body, okay, we get that. The soul is, you like tea rather than coffee. This is your personality. The soul is who you are. What they call it, Italian called the anima of the person, what animates you. The spirit is the part of you that connects to God. And so when Adam and Eve disobeyed God in the Garden of Eden, they underwent a form of death. And that death eventually would play out in a physical death.
Was a spiritual
death. And the spiritual death is an alienation from God. It is a separation from God. It is a place where we are antagonistic to God, and we do not want him to guide us and lead us and direct us and be our Father. We can't hear him speak. We can't hear his voice. And what happens when you're following the way is that you get to a place where you understand, because God has shown you that you are spiritually dead. And you understand that when Jesus died on the cross, it wasn't just a death and a resurrection to teach the world something beautiful. It wasn't just a death and a resurrection as a fairy story. It wasn't just a death and a resurrection as a spiritual aim and objective for people to follow. The death and resurrection of Jesus was God sacrificing his son and putting on his son the punishment that we deserve for our rejection of God. And this is called the substitutionary atonement. Jesus became our substitute, and he bore the wrath of God. He bore God's condemnation in our place. And so now when he rose from the dead, we rise from our spiritual death, and we are now united to him. And we are now following the way. And as followers of the way, we do so with the same authority he has. So for instance, you have a father and a mother, and you have a home, I'm sure. And there's a place where you belong, and you're the son in that situation. One day you'll be the father, God willing, and you'll have your own children around you. And I can come to your house as a visitor, and I'm sure everybody will be very nice to me. But if I was trying to say around and said to your dad, hey dad, am I in your will? And can I live here now forever? They might say to me, Mark, as nice as you are, that's not going to work for us because we already have a family. But when you become a follower of the way, you join God's family, and you are now at home there, and you are now part of that family because you're a follower of the way. And the Romans chapter 8 says, therefore, there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. And so having made that choice, there's no condemnation left. In fact, it's impossible for God to see your sins and failures. He can't see them because they're covered by the blood of Jesus. It's impossible for him to look on you with anything other than love. Now, in 1984, I walked down that street right there, and I walked to the Ashton Gate Stadium. And in the Ashton Gate Stadium, there was a service going on, and there was a preacher called Billy Graham. And Billy Graham had preached in 180 countries. And he had been friends with Nixon, Queen Elizabeth II. She loved him.
Can I?
Yep.
For the viewers who don't know Billy Graham, who is he?
So Billy Graham was a preacher born in about 1920, and he was from Charlotte, North Carolina. And he had an incredible gift of communication. and preaching.
Mhm.
And when he preached, people would experience this spiritual reanimation, and they would respond to Jesus through his preaching.
Okay.
And he preached in Russia when Russia was still communist. He preached in 180 countries. He was friends with Nixon, friends with about 8 or 9 presidents. Obama knew him. Trump knew him. He was president. He was friends with, and he was. If you watch the Crown, there's an episode in the Crown. I don't know which one. I don't know which one, but she meets Billy Graham. The Queen meets Billy Graham.
All right. Okay.
And she was transformed by his preaching. In 1956, he came to Haringey Stadium and he preached every night for like 6 weeks. And the Queen would watch him on TV. And he changed her view of what it meant to be a Christian. And she was the head of the Church of England. And so he was I'd seen him preach before in 1975. But then in 1984, I was living here with my wife. We weren't living together because we were 1 month away from our marriage. And I walked down there and I went to hear Billy Graham. And as I was sitting there with my friends from university, I thought, I've got to give my life to Jesus. And so at the end of every time he preached, he would say, if you want to give your life to Jesus, just come forward. And so I got up out of my seat, and along with thousands of others, I went down to the turf, and someone prayed with me, and I gave my life to Jesus. And I went home that night, and I prayed again. I said, Lord, you're now the boss. You're in charge of my life. I'm now your follower. I will follow wherever you lead me. And I became a follower of the way. I became somebody who was walking with Jesus at that point. And so at that point, I was at university. I finished my degree at UWI, what's now UWI, with Bristol Polytechnic. And then we did 2 years theology. And then after my theology degree, I was thinking about becoming a minister. And I was, but I wasn't feeling it. I was thinking about it, but I wasn't feeling it. Because, if you're going to be a minister, you got to love people. You got to really love them.
You gotta, yeah.
We got to like people. You got to love people. And I wasn't sure how much I really loved people. And so I thought, I'll be a preacher, but I won't be a minister. So
what's the difference?
Well, a minister is a preacher, but a preacher can be not a minister. So a preacher, in Broadmead, I would go to Broadmead and I would preach. Mm-hmm. And I would have a little paint board and I would paint. And I met a guy called Corky, and he had been in Africa, and he had more energy than any person I've ever seen.
I know the type. I know. I can show you the type. Yeah.
Unbelievable charisma.
Yeah.
His parents were super rich. He'd never been to school. They'd educate him privately. When he was 15, they taught him to fly a plane. When he was like 17, he was reading the news at the BBC because he had a really, really posh accent. Unbelievable guy. He's still alive. He's living here in Bristol. And he came to our church and he says, you know what? I've been in Africa and I've seen people healed. And he would just like talk for 20 minutes. And I thought, okay, you're the guy I need to talk to. You're the guy I need to talk to. And I went and saw him.
Oh, I love when that clicks.
Yeah.
When you're in a conversation with someone, it's like, okay, yes, you will show me the way of whatever I'm trying to.
Definitely. And he did. I went and saw him, and we spoke for about an hour. And he said, Mark, you're nice, but you're very boring. But, even boring people like you can do something for Jesus. And I thought, okay.
He was okay.
He's straight guy, straightforward.
Okay, yeah.
No kidding around.
Fair enough.
So he had an E-Type Jag in his garage, but we didn't go in that. He had an old Volvo, and my wife and I and a couple other girls and Corky drove to Italy. Mm-hmm. And he took us through Mont Blanc Tunnel into Aosta, which is the northern part of Italy. Mm-hmm. And we went to Milan and then down to Florence, and we experienced Italy. And my wife and I, as we drove into Italy, we just fell in love. And we thought, we need to be here. We need to be here. So 2 years later, we moved to Italy. And then we moved to Florence for a year, and we learned Italian. And then we lived 2 years in Milan. And in Milan, I was a street preacher. And then I went.
Street preacher.
Yeah, I would preach on the street.
That's crazy.
It was great. It was great. I used a board, a paint board,
Oh,
and I
man.
would paint and speak. And you're not shouting at people. You just engage. You're not talking with them now like I talk with you.
The thing is, they did a similar job. So.
Oh, really?
Well, not in preaching, but I used to do sales, and I remember just
It's invigorating.
is yeah.
Every day.
Every day is completely different.
Every day is like it's pregnant. It's pregnant day, and a baby gets born, and it's like, you know what I mean? Something happens, and so I was street preaching.
Oh, I love that.
It was great. It was great. And then I met an Italian church leader called Gaetano, and he said, you need to come work for me. So then I started traveling around Italy and lining up meetings for him. I was what they call in Italian a bag man. I was portaborsa.
Yeah. No,
I was his bag man.
Oh.
But one night,
This with your wife living where?
In Rome.
Okay.
So my wife, our 2 sons and daughter, we were living in Rome.
Oh my God, you already have.
So so I already have 3 kids. Yeah.
Oh my.
I don't know how my wife let me. I was gone 40% of the time. It was really it was hard for her.
I'm sure. How old were your children?
Let's think. My oldest would have been between 3, and he went from being 4 to 7, and my second went from being 1 to 3, and then my daughter went from being like under 1. So yeah, they were like toddlers. I have a wonderful wife. She was a real trooper.
Yeah, I did. I hope you you talk about.
Yeah, she's a trooper.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Even though I knew I was a follower of the way, even though I knew that I belonged to Jesus and my job was to serve him, I still had an issue that needed resolving. And it was this. I, in my mind, had equated God with somebody who is a loving father, but very strict and very kind of difficult to please. So I don't know if you ever went to school and brought home a report from school at the end of the year. I don't know what your reports were like. I suspect your reports were he's running around too much and he's too kind of crazy. But
I was how do you call it when you're about to be kicked out?
Expelled.
Yeah, but is
about to be expelled.
About to be expelled?
Yeah.
How is conditional? There we go. You call it conditional so you do basically one more thing and you're out. And you're only allowed to have 1 semester conditional, and then the next one has to be not conditional.
Right.
So if you every year I was conditional, not conditional.
I can imagine you being like that. Well, I was slightly different. Is that I was uber average. I just did the bare amount of work. I couldn't see the point of it, so I just did the bare amount of work. Okay. I was not an academic.
I got one sibling that was like that. Well,
so whenever at the end of the year, I would always get a report card, and the report card says something like "Mark could do better," or "Mark is a happy-go-lucky boy." And when I felt like that's the way it was with God, that God was looking on me, and that He was shaking His head, saying, "I love you, Mark, but you really are you're a mess. You could do better." And in Italian they say
that's a very tough feeling to have.
I felt that way about God for 10 years.
God as well.
I've been a follower of the way for 10 years, and I was feeling that.
And you still that was still at the back of your head,
right there, every day, pressing me down.
Okay.
And I went to a conference, and one of the speakers there said, "What you need to do is read the prayers of Paul." In the New Testament, Apostle Paul writes letters, and in the beginning of every letter, almost every letter, he writes a prayer. And he says, read the prayers of Paul, because the prayers of Paul are what Paul is praying. He says, for instance, in Ephesians 3, he says, "For this reason I kneel before the Father, from whom his whole family in heaven and earth derive the same. And I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your being, so that you may know Christ who dwells in your heart through faith. And that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the saints to grasp how wide and how long and high and deep is the love of Christ. And when Paul writes that in the Bible, he's saying, to the followers of the way, I want you to know how loved you are by God, how absolutely loved you are. And I looked at that and I thought, I don't feel that. I don't feel that. And for 2 years, I read those prayers and I said, Lord, if this is true, help me to feel that. Well, I went down to Sicily, to a city called Catania, and I was organizing a seminar for Gaetano. I was working for Gaetano, and some guys were there. And at the end of the service, they were laying hands on people. And this wasn't something I felt very comfortable with. Well, they'll put their hands on your head and pray for you.
Okay, yeah, I know, yeah.
And I didn't feel terribly comfortable with that.
I don't like that.
No, I wasn't feeling it. But someone said to me, you know, Mark, I can see that you're struggling with the fatherhood of God. And so I let them put their hands on me and pray for me. In that moment, and this is January 1994, so what's that? 30 years ago. It feels like last night. In that moment, they laid their hands on my head and they prayed for me. And I suddenly felt accepted and loved by God unconditionally. Unconditionally. And I started to cry. And I cried for 6 hours. I could not stop crying. Not tears of sadness, but tears of happiness. Just, and that's
the relief. I'm
the
guessing.
Relief. The relief. I don't have to do anything.
It's just the amount of time that you went through with
struggling with it.
Yeah, not only with God, but also with your family as well.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of was an angry guy. I felt like I was a pretty angry guy before this, and I suddenly felt, I don't believe it. He just loves me, and he's delighted to see me. And when I drop the ball and I do things wrong, he sees that the way a father would see his child who's in hospital. If your father and your child is in hospital with a disease, you go to the hospital, you're not angry at the child. You're weeping with love for them, and you just wish they get better. And that's the way God sees. He says when you fail, he doesn't see you as an enemy. He sees it as someone that he just loves, and he wants you to experience more. And that experience 30 years ago had such an impact on my life that I left the job I was doing, and I said, right, I need to become a pastor. Because now that I've understood the love of God for me, then that's the kind of love I want to be able to show other people. And that's the way I want to respond to other people. And I want to share that love with other people. At that point, I became a pastor.
That is a beautiful story.
It was amazing. It was an amazing experience.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what we try to do at Broadmead. We try to help people to become followers of the way, and then to experience what it means to just be accepted by God and just loved by him and taken care of by him. And we see people like your good self, your age, you know, arriving, and some of them are followers of the way, some of them have questions, they're not really sure, but over the years we just see them grow and grow and grow and develop and understand that they're just loved by God. And before you know it, they're often going away again. You know, they're doing different things. You know, we're sending my own son and daughter-in-law and my grandson and another family and another lady to another church in January. We're saying they need help. It's actually here in Victoria Park. It's right real close. Okay. And we're saying those guys are our friends. They need help. You guys go. And it's going to break my heart to send my grandson away because I love my grandson. But,
yeah,
every Sunday I'm there with my grandson. Every Sunday I'm there with my grandson. And
yeah. Every time I wanted to ask you a question, you're like your grandson.
My grandson. Yeah, go away. Yeah. So yeah, but it's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Because they're going to go bless them there. And so we're in the business at Broadmead of walking with people along the way until they reach a place where they are able to walk with somebody else, and they're able to reproduce in their own life that experience that we are enjoying.
That is a very powerful story.
It was a wonderful experience. And it's like I was saying, 30 years ago, it was just like it was last night. I woke up this morning still enjoying it, which is kind of the source of joy.
Yeah. This leads me to the next question, then, which is, how do you, let's call it properly, search for God?
Right. Yeah.
Because that like I've been searching for God for about 2 years now. About 2 years.
Tell me about that journey. What does it involve?
Oh my God! It started very weirdly. I said to a friend out loud, if I get an A plus, basically, if I get a first, whatever it is, in this exam that I thought I was going to absolutely fail. It was accounting. It was like the last test. It was awful. I got a first. So basically, I said, if I do pass that test,
Yeah.
then I'll go 3 times to church. I said it to him.
Where was this? Back in Chile?
No, back in in Germany.
Germany.
Yeah. It was only 2 years ago. So, oh God, I remember that day. So, and after the exam, my friend asked me, "So, what did you get?" I told them, said, "Okay, then come on Sunday." And then I said, "Okay, all right, I'll join." He brought me to this Catholic Latin American church where other friends went there and like played guitar and so on.
It was in Spanish.
It was in Spanish. And then, after 3 times that I went there, I was like, oh, all right, I actually quite like it. It's quite nice to learn about the Bible and so on. Then he said to me, okay, have you ever thought about praying? I was like, no, how do you pray? Just say something. And then, so it was like this very soft approach. It was like very step by step, very light. It was
gentle.
Very, very much like seeing a feather go to the ground. Yeah. It's just a very gentle way, for sure.
Wow.
And he said, okay, yeah, after I started praying, pray to someone. And then say, now God instead of just someone.
Yeah.
Now make it a conversation. So it was like this step-by-step process. Cool. And then, start reading the Bible.
Cool.
Have you had, I don't know, a Bible study? Yeah. Have you ever confessed? I still haven't confessed. Sorry for that, Thomas. Really love you, but yeah. So now I'm in the confession bit where he says to me that I should confess.
Well, what did he mean by confess? And what do you mean by it?
Confession?
I know it has a formal manifestation, but does it have an informal manifestation for you?
Informal?
So for instance, in a Catholic church, you'll have a little cubicle you go.
Yeah. And
then the priest is on the other side.
Yeah.
And you're confessing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're talking about when confessing? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm talking about that. So why? What is there another?
Yeah, because confession is a big part of the journey of the disciple. So confession, the Bible says confess your sins to each other, but it also says just confess your sins to God. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to interrupt your stream if you.
No, go on.
So if you're not a follower of the way, and you sin, mm-hmm. Lying, cheating, stealing, whatever it is, lust, adultery, whatever it is, then what that's doing is it is compounding your separation from God. Mm-hmm. It's becoming part of the barrier that keeps you from God, from Jesus. If you are a follower of the way, you don't suddenly become perfect. you're still prone to temptation.
Mm-hmm.
You're still struggling with what they call the old nature. You're still struggling with who you used to be, and you can fall into sin.
Mm.
That sin does not separate you from God, because God has accepted you regardless of your sinful state.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does is it destroys your enjoyment of God, and it stops you. It takes your joy away.
That's something that I've seen, that I've lived, I would say.
It robs you of your joy.
Yeah.
And so the reason why we should say, I don't want to sin because I want to glorify God, and that'd be great. But in practice, what we say is, I don't want to sin because I love joy so much. I'm enjoying being joyful. I don't want to lose this joy through something which is ultimately toxic and addictive.
Yeah.
And destructive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough.
So the confession is part of what we do too, but not in a cubicle with a priest, because we don't recognize that a priest is somehow he's not an intermediary for us. We're already in the presence of Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. Well, basically, he says to go to Northern Wales, confess somewhere there, and then go back. Yeah, if
Bit
needed.
of a journey.
Yeah, no, he basically because I said no, I really would not like to confess, not right now.
Uh-huh.
And he's like if it really bothers you that much, just go to Northern Ireland, confess somewhere in Norway. It doesn't matter, just do it.
Yeah.
And then
But confession is it's
a great friend of mine. He knows me a lot.
Confession is a wonderful liberation.
He does say that all the time.
The liberation.
Every time. Yeah.
Sets you free from that stuff you've been holding on to.
Yeah. No, I'm still stuck with prayer.
So just to come back to your question about how can we search for God, I'm interviewing you now. But so you had this. You started praying. You visited the church. You started praying, and you're now confessing.
I'm not confessing yet.
It's not confessing yet.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 29. The prophet Jeremiah wrote to the Jewish people after they had been taken from Jerusalem to Babylon in 586 AD. And Jeremiah had been saying to them for years, don't resist the king of Babylon. He's going to come and destroy you. Just when he comes, open the door and go with him, because God's sending you off this land because you've rejected God. And so Jeremiah he's there warning people, and eventually the Babylonians come. The city resists them. They destroy the city. They destroy the temple. They destroy the walls, and they take all the people of Babylon. And then Jeremiah writes to the people in Babylon, and he says, listen, you're going to be here 70 years, so just settle down. And he says this, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I'll be found by you, declares the Lord, and I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all the nations and the places where I've driven you, declares the Lord, and I will bring you back to the place from which I sent you into exile. He says, if you seek for me with all your heart, you will find me, because I'm eager for you to find me. Mm. And so seeking for God is really important. And if we make that the number one desire of our heart, then we will be found by God, and he will find us and we will find him.
You know, this is the thing. I feel my attempts have been, when you look back at a skill that you were developing, and you say oh my God, what was I trying?
Yeah,
it wasn't even in the right direction.
Yeah,
I feel that is my journey currently. I feel like in a few years, maybe months, who knows, I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, oh my God, I was doing all this dumb stuff that it was literally right this, there. It was right there. It was just looking up,
Yeah.
whatever it was. But I don't know. It feels like I'm still searching in the dark.
Yeah.
While I don't know the.
How confident are you in being honest with somebody about your challenges and your searching, and speaking with somebody on a one-to-one basis and saying, this is how comfortable are you? Okay, remember the three parts: the words and actions,
Yeah.
philosophical beliefs. Some people, we meet them, all you ever see is words and actions.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk to them for 2 hours and not know where they are politically, not know what they think, not know what they desire, and they just don't reveal it. Say hello to the British. Sorry, but literally.
Anyways.
Whereas you go somewhere like Italy, yeah, you get all that too, but
you
you know.
yeah.
If a Roman is annoyed at you, you will know.
Yeah.
There's just no two ways around it. And so they reveal that, but it's actually very difficult to find someone you trust enough to say, look, these are the world of the spirits. This is what's happening in the world of the spirits, because that's a pretty intimate conversation. And you've got to trust that the people won't judge you, and you got to trust that the people are going to be walking with you.
Yeah, for sure.
And that they love you, and that how they feel about you doesn't change on the basis of what you tell them.
Yeah.
And that they don't reject you. And all of those responses are what something like an alpha course and would elicit.
And what?
Alpha course?
What's that?
So in
sorry, I don't know.
January the 15th, we're running a 6-week course called Alpha, and it's it's the most it's a course that is practiced all over the world, Catholic and Protestant.
All right.
It starts with, is there a God? And you have a meal, and you watch a video, and you have discussion, and you can just go there and ask questions. But you're with a group of people who are starting on the way, and we're starting on 15th of January. It's Thursday nights. It's free, and that kind
Thursday?
of Thursday nights.
Thursday's not okay. Interesting.
But the thing is,
so, yeah.
you could look at the alpha videos with somebody else. You can sit down with another person, go through the alpha videos, or the 2 or 3 people. But a course like that is very helpful because it gives you a chance to build relationships with people to a place where you feel like you can trust them. And it gives you a chance to have questions answered and to think about becoming a follower of the way yourself. And so I get that none of us wants to pull back the curtains and say, this is who I truly am. Because fundamentally, there's shame attached to revealing who we truly are.
Yeah, of course.
There's shame attached. But fundamentally, until we get to that place, it's very hard to meet God.
Yeah.
Because you can't be righteous and have God as righteous at the same time. Either you're righteous or God is righteous, or either God is righteous and you're not righteous. And that's the big barrier, I think, for most people. Most people would love to know God.
So sorry, if for people who don't, yeah. Okay, so let me see if my thought process is right. You're saying that being truly yourself is, or acknowledging your true self, not only in front of others, but also in front of God, most importantly. That is where you find God.
Acknowledging your true self and asking for forgiveness and asking for a new life. Because you can acknowledge your true self, but not want to change.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, they have a joke in English about how many light bulbs. How many light bulbs? How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? just one, but the light bulb's got to want to change. And that's the thing. You got to want to change. You got to want to be forgiven. You have to feel the burden. Most popular book ever written, apart from the Bible, it's called Pilgrim's Progress. It's a book written by John Bunyan, and it's about the journey of someone who's on the way. And when he starts his journey, he's carrying this massive rucksack, and the rucksack is his sin. And as he walks, it's heavy, 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 weighing him down. And he climbs up a hill, and he gets to the top of the hill, and there's a tiny little gate, and it says, "Whosoever will can enter in." And he enters into the gate, and as he enters into the gate, the rucksack falls off and rolls down the hill, and he's suddenly feeling light. This is the experience of being born again, becoming a follower of Jesus, a disciple of the way. My son Samuel, who you might know, when he was 14, he was going off to a camp, and it's very emotional for me. I will tell you about it, but I tear up. He was going to a Christian camp, and I said, "Sam, I bought you a Bible to take with you, so you can, because they're going to be reading the Bible." And Sam took the Bible from me, and he said, "Dad, thank you for the Bible, but I'm not really feeling this. I don't really believe this. I don't really feel the need for this." And all the way home, I just wept. I cried with sadness for my son. And a week later, he came back and he said, "Dad, you wouldn't believe what happened. I was in a meeting and they said, if you want to accept Jesus, come forward." And I went forward to accept Jesus, and it felt like a burden had fallen off my back. And he never read Pilgrim's Progress, but that feeling is there. And what people who are not followers of the way are experiencing is a massive burden. And you have to know that, you have to experience and understand this burden you're carrying, this longing for reality, this longing for truth. We're living in a world where people have everything they need to live, but they have nothing to live for. And what this is producing is people who are carrying a burden, but they don't understand how to be freed from that burden and to find a life that is really worth living.
What a beautiful story. I feel that does go to my next question. Sorry, my accent escaped. Which is, and this is not a question from me, but a question from somebody else on that Sunday meal. How have you seen what is the biggest you've seen God move?
I've been thinking about that question because you sent it to me, and I thought a lot about that.
I thought I thought it was a rough question to ask as well.
I tell you, it's right now. It's today. It's right now. It's the biggest I've seen God move. Absolutely.
How come?
Well, I'm a sociologist and a historian and a politician, so I come at it from a political understanding. But Christianity, at least in the West, in the Protestant West, I don't know enough about the Catholic world to comment. But in the Protestant West, 500 years ago, we had Luther, we had the foundation of Protestantism, and through people like Billy Graham and George Whitefield and John Wesley, in the 18th century, a large percentage of the population of this country and the United States became followers of the way. And so we had a situation where this country was defined by Christianity, and a lot of our institutions carry that definition. We could talk about Moses, the law of Moses. We speak about that. We can come back to that if you want to later on. And what happened was that the West, certainly the UK and the English-speaking world, became defined by people who are following the way. And certainly in this country, Queen Victoria, her reign was a time when following the way became a big thing. World War I happens, and people are saying, "What's going on here? Where's God? Where's God in the trenches?
That
Where is
that
God?
has to be
Where's God in the trenches?"
rough for sure.
World War II happens. The communists have offered up a what they call a paradise. The Nazis have offered up what they call paradise, and millions of people are killed. So neither of them are offering much of a paradise. But at the end of World War II, we had a situation where people regarded the claims of Christ as being personalized and privatized. So they would say to me, "This is your belief. Go with it. That's fine. But don't force it on me because I don't believe it." So because I don't believe it, it doesn't affect me. And it affects you because you believe it, which is crazy. Because if we're talking about the real God who we're going to meet one day after when we die, that's going to affect everybody, not just people who are followers.
I mean, it's a good theory.
Yeah, this doesn't work.
It's a good human theory. Yeah. I would say it's a great human theory, and it led to many things.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says that once it is appointed unto a man once to die, and after death to face judgment. Mm-hmm. So everybody's facing judgment, not just the people who believe it now. And that's what happened pretty much in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the noughties. That's what the feel. But something changed in 2008 when the economy collapsed. And something changed with COVID. And in COVID, 20% of the people who had been going to church took the opportunity to leave church. So a lot of churches started to shrink by about 20%. And some churches shrank by a lot more. Mm-hmm. Churches had been attended by people who attended there not because they were enjoying the joy, but because this is what they always did.
Yeah.
And so then you had COVID, and you had an excuse
to just say no,
to disappear. And so after 2 years, Broadmead Baptist, for instance, after 2 years, there was no pastor, and there was
no pastor.
Yeah, he retired, and there were just a dozen of elderly people, and we were meeting upstairs in what's called
a dozen.
A dozen.
Okay, just so you know, guys, this is one of the biggest churches I've seen. The amount of people who go.
Church seats 500 people, and there were a dozen. There were 12 people there, and what happened just before COVID was that we amalgamated with them, so we became one church, one group.
Okay.
But with COVID, there was a real shaking up, and lovely as those people were, many of them felt we don't really feel comfortable with Broadmeads, the new Broadmead. We don't like the singing. We want the organ. We don't really like.
We want the organ.
Yeah, we don't really like this stuff about knowing Jesus personally, and so what basically happened was after COVID, we were left there, and we became Broadmead Baptist Church. Mm-hmm. In the last year and a half, we've seen a dramatic increase in young men, especially, interested in church, interested in Jesus, interested in reading the Bible, interested in understanding more, and a turning away from the diet that the internet is feeding us, and the diet that the mass media is feeding us, and a healthy skepticism about the message that the media is projecting to us. I mean, we watch the BBC now, not because we believe it, but because we want to see what the media is telling us and what the powers that be are telling us.
I gotta say, I don't watch any media. I heard from.
What has it turned you off from the media?
It's mainly it's not relevant.
Not relevant. It's interesting.
Most of, I would say there's a concept in business because I'm focused in business. which is noise to signal ratio.
Yeah.
And I would say it's the main distinction, or the main thing that I try to focus in my life. So it's basically cutting off everything that is
Distraction.
basically is the way I would put it is focusing on my own soul first.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing I can actually say.
Yeah, he can actually change. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so everything about media, everything about war, as terrible as I find it,
Yeah.
as much as I want to change it, it's not relevant for my situation now.
Yeah.
I'm a 24-year-old. Whatever I do now is going to impact the future.
Yeah.
So if I grow faster, so to say, or
yeah,
I don't know, do more stuff and prepare myself to then confront the problems that will occur in the future, I feel it's a better way to do it anyway.
Definitely.
That's my view, and that's why I distinct.
And I get that, and I think that what you're expressing is what is a lot of people feel too. I mean, you see our church; they're not all my age; they're all your age.
Yeah, I find that so impressive.
They're all your age.
They're all 20-something-year-olds.
Yeah. It's just 20-something-olds.
Is
and the ones who are 40 came to us when they were 20. You know, they've been going 15 years. So the ones who are older actually came to us 15 years ago. And I mean, on Sunday when we had the children doing something, and one of the little girls was there, and she was talking about how long you've been in the church, and then I said, well, actually, you've been in the church. You're 8 years old, but you actually been in the church 9 years because we were praying for you, and this is what we're seeing now. But my point is that now more than any other time in modern history, there is a desire in people for authenticity and for a life that is built on solid foundations. And what I would say is there's a longing for the way. And actually, what I'm organizing, what I'm spending my time doing at the moment, is I'm organizing a big meeting like the one I got saved in. So we were at Ashton Gate Stadium in 1984. In 2026, in the center of Broadmead, what they call the amphitheater, I've booked that place.
That's great.
I've literally personally booked that place.
Okay.
They're going to charge us $1,000. That's fine, £1,000.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I booked that place, and I've got a guy now who I want to speak, and I'm going to go around and visit every church I know and say, come and help me. And in May 25th, 2026, we're going to have a meeting similar to the one I became a Christian at, in that amphitheater. And I'm going to be and we're going to put out adverts. I think I'm going to stick them on the back of buses. Jesus.
That's illegal, just so you know.
Bristol City.
It is what it is. Well, sorry, council.
No. Pay to actually.
Oh, okay.
Publicity.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Putting something on a bus is reasonably cheap.
Really?
Yeah. It's probably it's reasonably cheap.
Yeah.
So I won't do it illegal.
Yeah.
But and then open the doors for these young adults to have an experience of what it means to follow the way and to be a disciple of Jesus, and to find in Jesus a transformation for their lives. And so this is my big dream, just to push this forward. I
gotta say, every time somebody tells me this kind of stuff, something that they really wanted to do because I can tell you've been wanting to do it for a long time. You're excited, incredibly excited. You're like there, and I can tell not only because of your tone of voice and the way you say it, but it's also what you want to do. Put the posters,
get it all done.
Go through every church that you know. That passion. Oh my God, I love to see people.
I lie awake at night thinking about it. I say, Lord, just make it happen.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
But see, now when I was studying sociology, they were introducing what they called postmodernism. And postmodernism, so you don't need me to tell you what that is.
Yeah, no, I hate it anyway, but for the viewers, please.
Well, postmodernism has many. For instance, like how Wittgenstein says, the limits of my language are the limits of my world. And postmodernism says, I invent my own reality. You invent your own reality. We've tried that.
From there goes all the LGBTQ plus movement, the fourth wave of feminism,
all of that stuff.
Radical left currently, art movement, and so on.
But what they didn't foresee was how the internet would weaponize the outcomes. So if you're in 1985 and you're saying, I invent my own reality, 2 people know.
Yeah.
If you're in 2026 and you say, I invent my own reality, you can get 1 million people watching you. And your voice becomes, and so the internet's become an echo chamber for this.
Yes,
and
I know.
What it actually has led to is isolation. You wouldn't believe how many young men I meet, and I say to them, how many conversations have you had with somebody in a physical conversation have you had with somebody this week? And they say, nobody. I spoke to a friend in my country on Zoom a while ago. Nobody. And I confess as a Italian at heart, I kind of really like Giorgia Meloni. I mean, this may probably divide your audience. She's the Prime Minister of Italy.
Yeah, I love her. Yeah, I love her. She's
on it. She's passionate too.
She's very passionate for sure. She's very Italian.
But what she said when she's
radical, right-wing conservative.
Yeah, definitely new conservative. She made an interesting point. She said that the internet is being used by the corporations to turn us all into the perfect consumer. And we have no identity, Mr., Mrs., he, her, no identity, parent 1, parent 2, no identity apart from being consumers. And the people of your generation are saying, we didn't vote for this. We didn't vote for this isolation. We didn't vote for this being utilized. We didn't vote to become just like, I can do that film with I forgot. We didn't vote to be this consumer. Just being there, receiving, eating what they give us, and accepting what they sell us.
Yeah.
And they're looking for this joy that comes from an engagement with God Himself through the person of Jesus. That's what they're looking for. I would like to just before I forget, can I read this little poem about Jesus?
Please do.
One Solitary Life. This is by James Allen Francis. He was born in an obscure village, the child of a peasant. He grew up in another village where he worked in a carpenter shop until he was 30. Then for 3 years he was an itinerant preacher. He never wrote a book. He never held an office. He never had a family or owned a home. He didn't go to college. He never lived in a big city. He never traveled 200 miles from the place where he was born. He did none of the things that usually accompany greatness. He had no credentials but himself. He was only 33 when the tide of public opinion turned against him. His friends ran away. One of them denied him. He was turned over to his enemies. Went through the mockery of a trial. He was nailed to a cross between 2 thieves. While he was dying, his executioners gambled for his garments, the only property he had on earth. When he was dead, he was laid in a borrowed grave through the pity of a friend. 20 centuries have come and gone, and today he is the central figure of the human race. I am well within the mark when I say that all the armies that ever marched, all the navies that ever sailed, all the parliaments that ever sat, all the kings that ever reigned, put together, have not affected the life of man on this earth as much as that one solitary life. And this is the person that we're following, Jesus. It's incredible. It takes my breath away to see how utterly transformational his life is. Even our legal system, as you said before, Moses. It's all Moses. The whole legal system is based on Moses.
It's based on that and some Roman
Exactly.
philosopher.
And Jesus completed Moses. Moses pointed to Jesus because he was the one who fully performed the law, who never failed the law, who never sinned. And he is the one who is at work now. And believe me, I'm more excited now than I've ever been about what God is doing in this country and around the West. Even when I go to Italy, it's happening in Italy. When you go to France, it's happening in France. I think something like every 9 days, a new gospel church is opening up in France. And France has always been very secular.
Yeah.
It's just
something. The 1700s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After they killed them all in the 1700s.
Basically,
yeah. So this is certainly what I'm more excited. I'm excited now more than ever.
Yeah, that's something huge to be excited about, I would say. Phil, it's I feel something is happening in society. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
2026 is pregnant. There's a baby coming.
Basically.
2026 is pregnant. There's a baby coming.
I feel it will take a couple decades though. 2026 will be a very interesting.
I think that people will change now, and the outcome
and the results will be
a couple of decades.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So as they move into positions of responsibility, then the world will. But I think that I would have to say that the devil has overplayed his hand. He's trying to turn people into into just consumers, and he's overplayed his hand.
Well, there was this. Oh my god! This thing that I saw on a reel, which was a question to ChatGPT about how would ChatGPT act if they were the devil.
Yeah.
If it was
the devil.
Great question and even better answer.
Wow.
Which was basically I would make you believe that I don't exist.
Yeah.
That everything is upside down, so everything can be right and everything can be wrong. And then slowly, it's basically a death by poisoning type of thing. If you guys want to search it up, please Google that or ask ChatGPT.
What would I do if I was the devil? Is that the question?
What would ChatGPT do, or Gemini, or any AI model?
If you were the devil,
what you do if they were the devil? I feel that's a powerful.
I'll do it when I get home. I'll log it in.
Yeah, because I can't really explain it fully. Well, Mark, I got one more question, which comes from somebody who was the quietest that day on Sunday. I won't say the name. And it made me realize how important and crucial that question was, not only for myself, but also for my family as well. Because, my family is a complicated situation. There's basically one side of my family that shames me for going to church.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Another one that just disbelieves it. Other ones who encourage and so on. But it's mainly towards the negative experiences, not only of the family but also from the world. I would say all the challenges that you see, like we talked about in World War One. What is happening currently in the Israel-Palestine conflict, what is happening in Ghana, what has happened in Nigeria, well, then, well, Ecuador, etc., etc., etc. It's basically this world is one mess, one big mess after the other. And so the question is, how do you actually overcome these challenges of life? And how do you go through it by faith?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. The Bible says something really interesting about God. It says that God stands behind good. So God is absolutely behind everything that is good. But he also stands behind evil, but in a different way. God stands behind good completely, but he stands behind evil in a way which is kind of oblique, an oblique kind of way. And he is working his plans and purposes out for this world. So people who do evil things, they are judged for the evil things they did. Things which cannot be attributed to people, for instance, children with handicaps and these kinds of situations. Those situations are happening because we're living in a world which is in rebellion to its creator. And so the sin contamination is matched by other forms of contamination in the human body. His plan is to return. And the return of Jesus Christ is a reality that could occur even tonight. The Bible says that before Jesus comes, the gospel will be preached in all the world. And the fastest growing church in the world is in China, the Far East. And the fastest growing churches are in countries which were not Christian before. But the gospel is progressing, and the knowledge of Jesus is covering the world like the waters cover the sea. And Jesus said in Mark 10 that he would come back when, Matthew 24, he said he would come back and it'll be a surprise for people, and then he will usher in a new heaven and a new earth. And the return of Christ is, can I say this, the Cinderella of doctrines. It's the doctrine no one speaks about, because the people in churches, Christianity has become too comfortable for people, and this life has become very comfortable for people. And the idea of Jesus coming back and all of this finishing is uncomfortable even for an awful lot of Christians. But that's the reality that we're living with. The reality is that there could come a day tomorrow when he will come and will be taken. And those who have chosen to follow the way will enter into the perfection of that experience. And those who choose to reject him, well, their rejection will be compounded and consolidated and affirmed by Jesus. And their destination is an eternal hell. And those who respond to Jesus, their destination is to be with Jesus in heaven. And there'll be a new heaven and a new earth. And this life we're living here now, I think will be like a dream. I think we'll kind of know we were here. We'll know this happened, but that experience is going to be so amazing that it's going to be hard to even have any connection to here and now. And the Bible says that even that people who are married, they won't be married in heaven. I mean, I will love my wife in heaven as much as I love everybody else in heaven. I won't love her anymore. But of course, I'll probably remember her, but it would be different. And the return of Christ is the biggest event that's ever going to happen, because he's not going to come the way Jesus came before, just a man in a context. No matter how, as we read in that poem, no matter how amazing he is, he's going to come as Lord and King, and he's going to say, right, this is the end. And then history will be completed. The whole world is heading towards that moment. The purpose of life is to be ready for that moment. I once said to my mother, what is the purpose of life? Why are we here? And she said something really interesting. She said, you're here. You know you've fulfilled your purpose when you look over your shoulder and see people who are following Jesus because they met you. That's the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to follow him and to encourage others to follow with you, because he's coming back.
Mark, thank you very much for being on this podcast.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Look forward to seeing it.
Me too. I actually replay every podcast. So it's always great to
see you. Great to meet you, sir.
Thank you very much once again for being in this podcast. Please follow us on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify. Maybe depends on what the producer's on. And TikTok. What? Yes, TikTok. Perfect. Got it at the end.
I know TikTok exists.
Yeah, me too. I
have YouTube.
Yeah, me too. I got YouTube, Instagram, and that's about it.
I know TikTok exists.
Yeah, the rest I live it to. Yeah.
That's been great.
Yeah. Thank you very much again. And see you in the next podcast.